Jay here. Today's beer review will be on
Jay here. Today's beer review is going to be on Victory Hop Devil. Figured in front of my lovely hop plant here was the right place to review a beer called Hop Devil. It's made by Victory, which is brewed of somewhere over in PA, Downingtown, PA. It's an India Pale Ale. With a name like Hop Devil, you would expect a lot of hops in this beer. So let's open it up and find out. Brought a glass with me. It's about 90 degrees here in Ohio today. I think it's the 16th of June. I don't know if you can see it real well, but it's a very, well, I'd call it copper, maybe even bronze. It's kind of a dark copper. Absolutely clear as could be. Nicely carbonated. A little bit of head. Not a whole lot of lacing, just a touch of lacing present there. Let's give it a smell. There's a caramel note and definitely a hop note. Though there's not as much of a hop smell as you would expect out of a beer called Hop Devil. I guess you would expect something that's going to melt your teeth with its bitterness, but you don't smell that. Very nice caramel and a little bit of very nice hop. Let's see how it tastes. It's bitter. There's a lot of hops in there. I'd say its IBU rating somewhere around 80. I'll give you the right amount in the clone recipe, but my palate tells me about 80, maybe a little higher than that. But it's fairly well balanced. There's a little residual sweetness to the beer. There's it's actually quite hard to pick out any other flavors to the beer. Sorry about the car driving by. It's hard to pick out any other flavors to the beer because the hop bitterness is so present. With a name like Hop Devil, though, that's what you should expect. It'd be false advertising if it wasn't. There is a caramel finish. It's very dry on its finish, but at the same time it's smooth. It's not as stringent. It actually goes down quite easy. It's almost a little too refreshing because it's so dry from the bitterness of the hops that you really just want to take another sip. It's really hard not to take another sip of this beer because it leaves your mouth so dry. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes you want to enjoy this beer. And it's actually fairly nice to enjoy on a hot day like this. It's quite thirst quenching. You don't, even though your mouth feels dry, it almost quenches your thirst just a little bit. So anyway, that's the review of Victory Hop Devil. It's probably isn't my favorite IPA. It's probably not even in the top 5 of my top IPAs. But it's certainly not a bad one. There's an awful lot of IPAs out there. It's a good IPA. It may be a little bit over hopped, but if you really like hops, there's nothing wrong with it. It's good, and if you really like hops, go grab some. And have a good night.